Dr. Stephen Akintayo joins me right now from Dubai. He's the managing director at Gtext Holdings. Stephen, good to see you again and welcome to the program. Hello, Dr. Akintayo, are you there?
Great. Well, thank God. I'm fine.
Good to see you. Now, let's get started. We're talking about real estate investment in Nigeria. I know that you teach people how to make and invest money in e-commerce, agriculture, and real estate. Now, why are you so interested in housing in Nigeria, given the volatility of the real estate market?
Well, for me, I mean, my background was critical to this. I was born in Maiduguri, northern part of Nigeria, and we kept moving from one house to the other because landlords were increasing rent. At some point, we had to move to a place you can call a village because there was no running water and no electricity, because that was the only place my parents could afford to buy a land. Same in Maiduguri. And so I saw how that affected my childhood and and I value, if I never saw a toilet that you could flush until I was 13. It was something me and my siblings were jumping around when we saw it, because we never lived in a proper, decent house. And so it's always been my heart that one day I want to be able to help that sector. And now, I mean, you have millions of housing deficit. Is something that we hope we're able to make a great difference.
What do you see as the core issue in Nigeria's housing sector? Like I said at the beginning of the program, I've read a lot of reports. I've listened to ministers, not even Rajiv Fashola alone, former ministers in the past few years say a lot of things about housing deficit. We say 20 million, 21 million housing deficit. Some people say it's not up to that. Rajiv Fashola insists that, oh, there are so many houses everywhere in Nigeria and all of that. But you are in this space. I don't know why you are laughing. But it's actually laughable though, because you see a lot of people that are homeless, so a lot of people don't have money to afford decent housing. What do you think is the central issue affecting Nigeria's housing market?
Well, I think it's affordability and accessibility, and there are two different things. Affordability has always been a global challenge. Even here in Dubai, the cheapest house right now is about $300,000 here in Dubai, and the reality is that that's a lot of money. Okay, so affordability has always been an issue globally. It's not just a Nigerian thing. However, what the rest of the world has done is to make sure it's accessible. And how have they done it? Provide a mortgage system, get more lenders in that system. People should be able to just bring in 20% and then lenders give them the remaining 80%. In fact, UK did something, fantastic recently. They started a first-time buyer program where they realized that even the 20% most people couldn't, afford. They were able to raise it. And what UK government had to do is to say, okay, you bring 10%, the government will help you with the remaining 10%. And the lenders, regular lenders, give you the remaining 80%. So that way, again, it became more accessible. So I think the conversation should be accessibility, because affordability is a general global issue. And we haven't done much. Government hasn't done much. The financial institutions haven't done much. And that's really why the housing deficit is that. It's just crazy in Nigeria. It's just wide.
So where does the mortgage banks or the mortgage industry really fit into all of this? Just like you said, in developed climes, you see that there's the mortgage industry that comes to, help people. If you have a decent work in America and in the UK, in other developed climes, you don't need to be paying a down payment. From your salary every month, you can be paying money for housing for the next 30, 35 years. The burden will not be that much. Yes. So what do you think about that in Nigeria, and how do you think that we can improve on that?
Well, I think the challenge is the fact that, first of all, there's a lot of bottlenecks in an average Nigerian being able to access mortgage. I remember, speaking with one of my bankers recently, and I said, look, People cannot run away with a house. Why is the commercial banks? Because when you talk to the mortgage banks, the federal mortgage program will tell you that, look, there are more people applying than the funds we have can take care of. The commercial mortgage firms don't have enough liquidity to support more families in Nigeria. So you are now left with the commercial banks, and that's one of the advantages that you have in developed world. That is not only the normal mortgage companies that can give you loan towards your house. You have a wide range of lenders. You have community banks, you have cooperatives, you have everybody's there to be able to support you if you want to go through their route. But in Nigeria, you have even the commercial banks who probably could have helped because they do more retail. Just saying no, 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 leave that mortgage side alone. But I keep saying that no, I think they can come up with a product because nobody can run away with a house. You can't carry it away. So if we can build a stronger structure, the commercial banks can come because they can service more people, right? If you're arguing that it's 15 million, if you're arguing that it's 20 million, if you're arguing that it's 25 million, the reality is that they combine private sector, government. None of us is doing up to a million housing unit construction at the moment. Okay, we all agree the deficit is in millions, but none of us is constructing to the realm of millions. Even us, we're trying to do 25,000 in the next 13 years. Can you imagine 13 years, 25,000? Meanwhile, you have millions in terms of housing deficit that is out there. Egypt is doing, where the COP27, the UN climate change event, Egypt is boasting of doing 30 million housing units. 30 million. And we're seeing, some of them are even completed. That is the direction we have to go, actually.
Okay, let's talk about the specifics about the current promotion that your company is running, Gtext Homes. Can you give me specifics about that? And it also seems that some of your products are really for the, some of your housing solutions are for the wealthy. With housing inequality, affordability, and accessibility that you spoke about earlier, how can the middleman be of? There's no way for the middleman, apparently, Stephen, in your housing solution, because I can see that there are millions and millions of naira.
I don't think so. In fact, somebody once even saw our housing unit. I remember I went to Bank MD's house, and I showed him our brochure. He shook his head and said, "Is there a house of this amount in Nigeria?" So it's relative, yeah, honestly, because he felt it was too cheap. So the concept of affordability is relative to the individual involved. But like I said earlier, accessibility is what we can talk about. And what Gtext has had to do now is to come up with a product that can then make it more accessible. Right now, we have properties in different parts of Nigeria. You have to pay 100%. We give you your keys, you move in. But for the first time, we're launching a 1,000 housing unit off plan out of the 25,000 we're trying to do in the next 13 years. The goal is that you are given 2 years to pay. We will start construction in March. We have 8 locations. We already have the properties. We bought the land. We own the land 100%. And we'll move to start construction in March 2023. Those who do outright payment, hopefully first quarter of 2024, they can start getting their keys. And of course, those who are waiting for that 3 years and spreading for 3 years, after they complete their payment, they get the keys to their house. And those who, for any reason, have paid up to 30% and are struggling to balance, we can link them up with mortgage companies that can then give them another 10 to 15 years to complete, and they will settle us. And you and the mortgage company work it out among yourselves. So these are some of the things we're working on, because accessibility is more realistic and is a more realistic conversation to have. Affordability is a function of different factors. We are not the owner of the land, right? And it's expensive to buy land in Nigeria. Most of the materials we are using are imported. Part of the reasons why you're seeing our building collapse and all of those things is as developers are trying to, make things affordable, cheap, and things like that, you then start unknowingly use inferior materials. And so for us, most of our materials are imported. In fact, we've pegged all, for those who are seeing Naira, please, everything has been pegged to dollar. So these prices will always change anytime, the value of Naira to dollar drops, because we don't want a situation where we promise you and later we get back to you and say, we couldn't deliver because one thing happened. So the prices are dollar denominated. For everyone, signing up for this, you will see the dollar amount. So if it's, for example, $50,000 for that one bedroom, that is the amount you are paying. So you can pay the Naira equivalent per time for the next 3 years, but it's still the dollar amount we are looking at. That way,
Okay.
even 3 years from now, we're consistent, we're able to deliver to you. We won't come back and say, you know what, something had happened, because you were actually paying us in the denomination we're using to buy most of the materials we're using to build.
Okay, because I was also coming to that, but thank God you clarified that. Are you saying that it is dollarized, but you're saying that it's pegged in dollars, so it doesn't really change, but the Naira value changes, as it were. So if the Naira falls, you pay more Naira for the dollar. That's what you're saying. Not necessarily that it's a dollarized transaction, if I got that right.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're saying. That because we're importing most of what we're using to construct and they're dollar denominated, to avoid a situation, because that's happening in the market right now. You're having issues between investors and developer right now, even in the market, if you study it, where developers are having to go back to the customer to say, yes, because it was denominated in Naira, the current transaction started with, you are to pay 50 million Naira for e.g. 2 bedroom, right? And then over time, because the customer too was paying in installment, we know that the cost of cement moved, right? Iron rod increased, cost of a whole lot of, so when the developer is coming back, to the investor to say, hey, it wasn't my fault that a lot of things went up. So please, can you pay more? I mean, the investor doesn't want to hear anything.
Okay.
Like, we had agreed at this rate and want to keep it at that. So what we had to
Okay.
do is say, the rate is at this dollar amount, right? You can keep paying, but we're measuring it by that dollar amount to avoid a situation whereby you think we're changing the price or something.
Okay, very quickly, because we have about 3 minutes to go, and I will need you to put all of this into perspective. How can people really access the promotion, and when exactly does it begin? That's one. Then number two, how does Gtext connect with investors? Then number three, your products and services appear to be too tempting. With the current rate of inflation at 21%, how confident are you that you can deliver on your promises?
Beautiful. So I'll start with the last one, and I think that's why I just answered. Once you peg it to a dollar, right, you can be consistent in your delivery, whatever happens, because you know how much you're buying, and you can always, and that doesn't change that much. As for how people can connect with us, the current offer, has started. We've started already, but we're doing a webinar, a global webinar for investors all over the world, and they can always go to www.gtexthomes.com/1000 units and sign up for free. We'll be able to have that conversation around what is the offer, what is the opportunity, how do you get to pay, how do you, and we even give some people, I think we have a promo for the first 10 to key in while the webinar is on, to give them some further discount as well. So for us, is we're excited about this move. We're contributing greatly. We hope this will also generate hundreds of jobs as we start construction, and we're contributing our own quota to develop our motherland. And we hope a lot of people will key into it. We believe strongly in our vision of green and smart home, where we're solving the housing problem, but we're also building houses that are houses of the future, that supports good and healthy living. And so I'm super excited, and I look forward to the event that is taking place on Saturday, 10th of December 2022. And so you can go to the website again and sign up for that webinar. It's going to be a great one.
Okay, I wish you well, and I wish you that your vision of establishing 25,000 green and smart homes by 2035, which is 13 years away. I wish you well. I hope we'll all be alive then to check out how that vision has materialized.
And I hope you will buy one from us as well.
Okay, let's talk about that after the show. Let's talk about that after the show. Thank you very much for coming on the program, and hope to have you soon, especially around pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes that are around the real estate sector. That will be another issue for another day. So thank you for joining us today. All right, I've been speaking with Dr. Stephen Akintayo, who is the managing director of Gtext Holdings. We've been talking about investing in the real estate sector. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. Bye now.